Welcome back, Video Game Voting Man, guys. Your boy P City Sepsis. We have another episode of Anime Mondays. So we're gonna pick up where we left off. We're still continue watching One Piece. This week we're gonna do a review and reaction to episodes 7, 8, and 9. I have to say, so far it's been so good, and these episodes are actually really good too. And it's just each episode is capturing me, it's pulling me in and drawing me in more and more. Each episode. I'm really enjoying the series so far. And again, I'm still early, still in the first season, so we're going to do a review and reaction of episodes 7, 8, and 9. Episode 7, basically the battle continues with Luffy, Zoro, and Nami versus Captain Buggy and his crew. So you get introduced to a new character who's a member of Buggy's crew, Acrobat Kabaji. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but he's basically a swordsman. And of course he is familiar with Roanoke Zoro, and he wants to do a battle with him. And you know, the battle seems to get intense. It seems like he's Zoro's match, you know what I mean. And Kabaji picked up on the injury that Zoro had where Buggy stabbed him in the back, and decided to zero in and focus on that injury, take advantage of it. So he basically he caused a lot of damage to Zoro, picking up on that injury that Zoro suffered from Buggy. And it seemed like you know, Zoro was down and out, like he had met his match. But you know, at the end of the day, like true heroes do, Zoro decided he wasn't going to give up that easy. I'm reading notes, by the way, so don't mind me looking down. But you know, he decided to focus in on that injury, and you know, basically he zeroed in on that. He took advantage of it. It seemed like he's down and out, but Zoro eventually overcomes and defeats Kabaji and falls asleep. Now, if you remember on the last couple episodes, when Zoro wanted to, Zoro needed some assistance, and he needed, like, basically to get healed and stuff like that. He had declined it from the mayor of that last town that they were in. So basically, same thing happened in this episode where he was injured, that he defeated Kabaji. He basically just fell asleep. I guess him resting, that's how he kind of rejuvenates and gets his energy back. So he basically fell asleep. So then from that point, it was a standoff between Luffy and Buggy. So during the standoff, Buggy cuts Luffy's straw hat. And as we all know, the importance of that straw hat and what it means to Luffy. Luffy got that hat from Shanks, who was I guess like a mentor in a sense, and somebody that Luffy idolized. So the hat was near and dear to him because it was near and dear to Shanks. So Buggy cuts the straw hat. So when Buggy noticed how much that hat meant to Luffy, he zeroed in on that as well. So he had like a set of claws. He drove that through the hat, and of course, as you would know, that enraged Luffy, and he basically goes nuts after that. And so at that point, Luffy's explaining that it came from Shanks. Then you get a backstory about how Buggy actually knew Shanks, and apparently they were part of the same crew back in the day when they were up and coming pirates, and that was just something that Buggy just despised the Shanks. He didn't really go into detail how, not until the next episode. So that was kind of the end of episode 7, and going to episode 8, the battle continues, and you get that. They continue and go into more detail with the backstory of Buggy and Shanks. And Shanks tells Buggy that the devil fruit was worth a lot of money. He tells Shanks tells Buggy that. So Buggy comes up with a plan that he's going to steal this devil fruit and he's going to sell it. But he goes before the crew on the ship, and he's pretending like he ate the devil fruit. And of course, if you eat the devil fruit, you lose your ability to swim, which is kind of, how do I word that? It'd be kind of crazy to not be able to swim, but you're being a pirate and you're mostly on the ship. So, you know, he's got basically the crew fooled and got them believing that he actually had consumed the fruit. So his intention was to actually pretend like he ate the fruit, but then sell it for the money. And at one point, you see Buggy on a separate part of the ship away from everybody. He's kind of having a conversation with himself, and he's talking about how he fooled everybody, how he's going to make a bunch of money and become the king of the pirates, so to speak. And at that time, Shanks had snuck up on him and caused Buggy to panic because he had the devil fruit in his hand, and he thought, well, he gave off the impression that he had ate it. So in a panic, he ate the devil fruit, which he, that's not what he wanted, So that is basically the backstory of why Buggy despises Shanks, because he felt like he took everything away from him, being that he snuck up on him, caused him to panic, and he ate the devil fruit that he was supposed to actually sell. So not only that, but he also lost his ability to swim at that point. So at that point, Buggy also had stole the map to the Grand Line, where the One Piece treasure is hidden, where all the pirates are trying to get that treasure, and it mistakenly gets knocked into the ocean some kind of way between Buggy and Shanks. And so Buggy, of course, he panics again and jumps in, not unbeknowing that he lost his ability to swim because he just consumed the devil fruit. So Shanks jumps in, saves Buggy, but Buggy blames Shanks for everything. And so then you get the backstory behind that. It goes back to the fight. Luffy basically continues to fight Buggy, and with a little assistance from Nami, he defeats him. At the end, Nami offers Luffy the map to the Grand Line for saving her life. She also agreed to join Luffy's crew. Then, during the aftermath of all this, the citizens of the town approach the crew of Luffy, and Luffy hilariously tells them that he kicked the mayor's behind, because he had during the battle. Let me touch on that. During the battle, the mayor of the town wanted to fight, to defend his town, of course, and so Luffy felt like he was a distraction, so he punched him and knocked him out, basically to kind of save him and keep him out the way. So when the citizens of the town approached him, they were like, oh, what happened to him? So Luffy, being who he is, he just hilariously like, yeah, I knocked him out or whatever. So of course it pisses all the citizens off. So they're running from the citizens, and as Nami, Luffy, and Zoro's running away from the citizens, they trying to chase him and basically beat him down. Shushu, the dog from the last episode, from episode 6, he steps in the way and is growling, and the citizens like, what are you doing? Shushu's basically allowing Luffy and his crew to get away, basically as like a thank you for the things that Luffy did for him. And then at that point, Zoro woke up. Zoro raised his head, and pirates ran off. Not the citizens, but the pirates that Nami originally stole the ship from, as they were running back to, as Luffy's carrying Zoro on the shoulder because he's hurt from the fight, and Nami, they're running from the citizens. Shushu steps in, and as they get back to their ship, they run into the pirates from, I think, episode 5, the episode where Nami steals their ship. She bamboozled them and took their ship from them. They were hiding out in another ship and popped out. So as this commotion is going on, it awakes Zoro. So Zoro wakes up and looks at the pirates, and they know the face immediately because they had already encountered Zoro. They basically ran off at that point. And then the mayor wakes and chases the crew. He runs to basically like the docking area where the ships are. And, he seems to be kind of pissed off, but at the same time, I think he's pissed because he wanted to be the one to defend his town, just kind of, like an honorable thing. But as he gets there, he thanks Zoro, Nami, and Luffy for everything they've done. So, and then after that happened, Nami took 2 bags of treasure. She stole the bags of treasure from Buggy's ship, and as they're leaving town, she asked Luffy to carry one, and she had one large bag of treasure. So as the ship is leaving the docking area of the town, the mayor notices one of the bags of treasure. Luffy had ended up leaving that and pissed Nami off because of course she wanted the treasure, but she was basically asking why he did that, and Luffy did that basically saying that they have to rebuild their town after that big battle took place, and things were destroyed by the bombs and stuff like that. So that's how episode 8 ends. And episode 9, the crew set sails, down on the ocean, and Nami informs Luffy that they will need more supplies and a bigger crew, and as well as a bigger ship. So they arrive at an island, and they introduced to a self-proclaimed Captain Usopp. Usopp is self-proclaimed because he has a crew of child pirates, and basically they're not really a crew, obviously not with kids involved, but he just kind of in his own world calls himself a captain, and these children are kind of followers of him. So the children pirates got weird names: Pepper, Carrot, and Onion. Don't know where they came up with that, but it's kind of comical. So Luffy reveals that he knows Usopp's father, Usopp, I think his name, and that he knew Shanks, and Shanks' name rung a bell with Usopp. So of course Usopp is kind of taken back, like, how do you know who I am? How do you know my father? And how do you know Shanks? Stuff like that. So Usopp takes the crew to get something to eat because Luffy was complaining about eating food, and Zoro wanted booze, and that kind of was Nami's like, I don't know how to deal with you guys, like typical female character in an anime series. So Usopp takes them to get some food. Then they ask anybody in the town can help them with a boat, and for whatever reason Usopp panicked at that point. So he had it was a big house on the hill that they had noticed, and they were like, why can't anyone help them? Why can't these people help? They appeared to be, wealthy or in a position to help because it's this huge house on top of the hill. So when they mentioned this house on the hill, Usopp panicked and he just ran off. So that's when Luffy and his crew decided they were going to head to that house on the hill. So Usopp, that's where he actually was running to. And then you get kind of a backstory. Usopp goes to the hill, and it basically, the scene shifts to this like kind of castle. I guess it was two there seemed to be a married couple, a woman and a man that had a daughter, and they must have died at some point and basically left the daughter in the care of, I'm assuming, like some sort of butler or head person in charge, chief of staff or something like that. And you basically get a little bit of a backstory, and it's kind of explaining what happened, that the parents died, and that the girl was under the care of the man in there. So and it seems like she's not allowed to come out the house, almost kind of like what was that, like Cinderella or Shrek, where the princess is locked in this castle. It's kind of, you get that vibe from it, so they run there. Usopp sneaks in to the castle and is telling these stories to this girl, and it's bringing joy to her, I guess because she's being locked away, and supposedly she's sick. So that's what Usopp does. It's kind of, it's caring to her. And so the girl is explaining to the guy that's her caretaker that she wants to see Usopp, and the caretaker's like, no, he's not good for you, he's a liar, stuff like that, because Usopp will tell these stories. And in the beginning of the episode, you see Usopp pretending like pirates are rushing the island and come and take it over, but all just to, it was basically a big joke, and it pisses the people in the town off, obviously, so at that point you realize the girl's name was Kaya. So Kaya is basically saying she wanted to invite Usopp in like a regular human being, but it's saying that the caretaker won't allow her to basically interact with Usopp because she thinks he's a joke and he's not good for her and stuff like that. And then with her condition, as far as her sickness and stuff like that, it said that she was in like a Great Depression, and depression from whatever happened to her parents. It didn't really say too much about how they passed away, but at the end it basically said she was in a depression in a sense. So Usopp basically goes there to cheer her up, and you find throughout the episode that you get like a background, kind of describe Usopp. He's kind of like this like I said, self-proclaimed captain, and he goes around and he's joking all the time, he's pissing people off. So you get that, but you see that Usopp has a good heart because he takes it upon himself to go and visit Kaya and try to help cheer her up and get her out of this depression. But unfortunately, Kaya's caretaker won't allow him to basically interact. He has to kind of sneak around, and at the end of the episode, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami catch up to him, and Luffy's trying to, well, actually, Luffy did make his way over this big fence that's covering his house. He made his way over there, and then it's kind of standoff between Luffy and the caretaker. So that's where episode 9 ends off. And so basically a review of all 3 from episode 7, 8, 9, which were really good. It's getting even better. You're getting introduced to new characters, and slowly but surely Luffy's building his crew. And you know, it's definitely drawing my interest each and every time I watch another episode. It's definitely a great series. I'm glad I picked up on it. I wish I had picked up on it a lot sooner, but better late than never. The episodes are out there, so that's cool. So we're gonna end the episode on that note. So depending on how many episodes I get through in the next week or so, between now and next Monday, we will review those, and that's gonna be it. So this has been another episode of Anime Mondays. This is your boy P City Substance. This is the Video Game Voter.